I asked you to leave me comments if you want a video on a specific Whippet topic, and I've written down some wonderful suggestions which I'm working on. Keep those coming. I wanted to combine some of your requests along with some frequently asked questions you leave in the comment section of the videos, so that's what we'll be doing today, answering your Whippet questions. If you don't see a recent suggestion here, that means it's on a lengthier topic and will have a video on its own, which will show up on the channel somewhere in the near future. Before we get into it, if you're new here, I'm Adi and I've had Whippets for 15 years. I'm currently owned by 7 of them and I make breed-specific videos to help existing and future Whippet owners. If that's your type of content or you want to learn more about the breed, you can subscribe and join our growing Whippet family. Let's begin with how to prepare for skin tears and wounds and can they be avoided. Whippets have such thin skin covered by short coat, which doesn't in any way protect them from injuries. Combined with their high speed and miscalculation of obstacles, they just can't avoid getting cuts and tears. The chances of owning or even meeting a Whippet without a single scar are close to none. Some of my Whippets have fewer scars. Others like Skylar and Jamie have had some significantly larger wounds on their legs and knees. And Eris, our youngest, has a scar on her face from a cut she got at 5 months old. It's more noticeable in summer as her pigmentation gets darker then. She even has some new ones on her legs. How did she get them? I have no idea. They don't even need to try too hard to get a few of those. But my gang is lucky we haven't had to deal with more serious wounds which require stitching or vet care. We clean such cuts with saline solution and leave them alone. They heal in a few days and the coat almost fully grows back. With Whippets that have lighter skin or dense brindle markings, the scars blend in. On the other hand, we've had slightly more serious wounds like this one Lacey got last year. We applied Manuka honey and covered with a bandage for the first 5 days, and a month later you couldn't even tell she ever had such a large tear. Manuka honey is magical. It's like a natural antibiotic. It helps with healing and the scars. I swear by it and I wish I discovered it sooner. Bigger open tears and wounds might require medical attention and stitching. Just join a Whippet group on Facebook and you will get your fair share of scary cuts and injuries from a Whippet getting caught on a pointy stick during a run in the woods. I dare to say I have a pretty good judgment on when one of our Whippets needs to be seen by a vet and when they don't, after such a long time of owning them and after 5 years of working for a vet. But I always advise new owners to better go to the vet when they have concern. You'd rather ask and find out it's nothing to worry about than do nothing and put your Whippets at risk. This also applies to wounds, tears, cuts and injuries. How can you avoid them? You cannot, at least the small ones on their legs and feet anyway. But you can minimize the risk of more serious ones by avoiding rocky or woody areas and such with uneven ground. Another frequently asked question I see in the comments is when should female Whippets get spayed? First of all, I'm proud of all of you who choose to have your female spayed instead of breeding a litter without a point or a purpose. In case you don't want to spay but still choose to not breed your girl due to lack of reasonable goal, I'm proud of you too. Spaying and neutering is such a controversial topic. Ask 5 different people and you'll get 5 different opinions. Whenever I see this question asked on a Facebook group, I get the popcorn ready. Here is my personal opinion. Wait for them to fully mature mentally and physically and for their growth plates to close. That means spay when they're 1.5 to 2 years old or after their first heat. Why either or? Some female Whippets have their first heat around 1 year old, which is too early to spay if you ask me. Others reach 2 years of age but have their first heat at 2.5 years. That's why. I find it unbelievable how some vets recommend spaying at 6 months of age to inexperienced owners. Look at Eris at 6 months. She is nothing but a baby, not even close to being an adult Whippet, let alone developed. It's a crime. I wonder why no vet has told me, females should be spayed that early. I guess because they won't live past this conversation. This is just my opinion. If I had to decide for my girls, it would be at 1.5 to 2 years old or after their first heat. An interesting question I noted down was how much exercise do elderly whippets need? We know whippets like to sleep a lot, but have fun as well when given the opportunity. However, the amount of exercise in terms of hours per day and the type of activities will highly depend on each individual whippet, and it's no different with those above 8 years old. I have 3 seniors, Brady and Cooper, who will be 12 this month, and Skylar, who recently turned 10, and they all have individual energy levels and activity requirements. Cooper is most content with just walking around and sniffing. Brady prefers to sleep and not be bothered most of the day, but with the right mood, he would murder a toy or have a good run. Skylar is the most active of the 3. Adjust as per the needs of your individual elderly whippet. If they have the energy of a 5-year-old and still enjoy 3 walks a day and a good sprint, go for it. If they begin to slow down and prefer peace and quiet, respect their pace. Take them on walks for as long as they like, make them enjoyable with lots of interesting things to sniff, and offer them to have a run. If they accept, great. If they don't, proceed with your walk. It's similar to humans. Some are glued to the couch once they retire, others climb a different mountain every week. It all depends on their individual needs, wants, health state and condition. This question has come up 3 times recently. How to keep whippets slim and fit? I've made a detailed video on the confusing topic of the ideal body condition of the whippet, and there I touched on what to do if your whippet is underweight or overweight. It's crucial to not let your whippets become overweight. Their legs, joints and bones are not made to carry a lot of extra body fat. Unfortunately, allowing them to look like American Staffordshire Terriers is accepted as normality by some people. Let's just accept that whippets must be slim enough to be healthy enough. That's not an accusation towards the original posters of the question, just an unhappy rant from my end. Thank you for listening. Some of my whippets haven't always been as fit as they are now, and I blame it on improper diet choices. At the moment, I'm extremely proud of the condition we've achieved in all of them. Even of Brady, who can fool the eye as he is a big boy with wide rib cage, but you can easily feel his ribs and even see them as it is visible on this video. Whatever you feed, whether it's kibble or raw, feed the recommended amount. That's a starting point. It all comes down to calorie intake. If a living creature, be it a human or a dog, consumes more calories than their body needs and burns, they will store fat due to the excess energy. When estimating the daily recommended amount, consider if they are intact. Spayed or neutered dogs need less calories. And also be honest about their current body condition score and their activity levels. These all play a part in calculating the right portion. If you believe your whippet could lose a bit of weight, they don't have any health issues contributing to weight gain, you feed the recommended amount including the treats they get daily and they receive enough exercise, simply reduce their food by 10% to begin with and observe for a few weeks. If this doesn't help, it could be that the current diet is too calorie dense for your particular whippet, like in Ivy's case. Last winter, I told you she's on a weight loss journey. I changed the food, fed slightly below the recommended amount and increased her exercise. And for a few weeks now, I can see her ribs. On top of that, she has more energy and stamina compared to the couch potato she was. She can't wait for her exercise and playtime. We have more work to do, but she hasn't looked that good for a long time. But more often than not, obesity in dogs comes down to overfeeding. With free feeding, it's more challenging to monitor calorie intake. Been there, done that. If you have a whippet in need of weight loss and you free feed, it's time to change the routine and provide 2 meals a day with controlled amount of food. Or fill their bowl with their daily portion, and when they finish the food, that's it for the day. What about whippets that always look hungry. That's how my pack used to be due to what I believe was improper diet. They were fed the recommended amount, some of them were on the chubbier side and were constantly starving. If that's the case with your whippet, you might want to look into a different food with higher fiber content. Please make a difference between an honestly starving whippet and one that would never reject food, no matter how much they eat. And don't forget to consult with your vet or a certified nutritionist if you are ever in doubt. Another frequently asked question I come across lately is about picky eaters. I'm not the best person to advise on this and I've been hesitant to address it. Reason being, I'm surrounded by piglets that would eat anything from a beefsteak to an apple peel. They just close their eyes, open their mouths like baby birds and take anything I hand to them. The only exception is Eris. Since the day she came here, she is very picky. She is food unmotivated, which makes working with her a lot more challenging. When she was a puppy, I was terrified she would lose too much of the weight she needed for growing, so I added all kinds of toppers to her food. Something different every day. That's how I made her even pickier. And it was frustrating. There was this one time when I gave her her regular raw dinner, but it was from a new order and it smelled different to her apparently. She didn't even want to taste it. So I took a piece of food, opened her mouth and stuck it in there. Once she realized I won't let her spit it out, she chewed it up, swallowed it and realized that's not that bad. And from that moment she finished her dinner in one go. I'm not telling you to force feed your picky eaters, but that's just to give you an idea of the level of pickiness of Eris. To this day, she is the type of dog that sees the food as play object rather than something she needs to survive as a bare minimum. At some point I got tired of all this and she reached an age where she was no longer a baby and it was about time to change her habits. She could either eat what I offered then and there or she had an opportunity at the next meal. This together with a competition for food with the other whippets made her a bit more excited about her meals. Not that my pack has to compete for anything, they have separate bowls and we don't allow them to steal, but there is always that chance of someone sneaking a piece or two, so they better focus on their meals before they magically disappear. Then her first heat came, which increased her appetite, and ever since all of these events, we haven't had to beg her even once. Still, she's prone to being very picky, and we must watch out for that. What I noticed about some of my whippets was they weren't excited enough about their morning meals. They didn't eat with enthusiasm before noon. This could be the case with yours, and if so, you could consider the pros and cons of providing their daily portion in one single evening meal instead. Also know that as much as we can train them, they can train us even better. Like Cooper, who was on medication he had to take with food a few months ago. Well, our boy slowly started to refuse his food, until we had no choice but to feed him something else and more exciting away from the others every evening. He learned that if he showed us he's not interested in his regular dinner, someone would invite him to the bathroom to offer a more exciting option in the shape of a cooked meal. Our hands were tied because he had to eat no matter what. Guess what? When he didn't need his meds anymore, we showed him the days of eating takeout every day were over. It took him 2 days to fully understand there are no other meals hiding in the bathroom, and now he finishes his food without thinking twice. If you have a picky whippet or you've created one, you could try to restart their habits. Stick to a food they like more compared to the other options you've offered, and be persistent to show them their training on you doesn't work anymore. You could try slow feeders, puzzle toys, feeding once a day as I said, or feeding after exercise or an exhausting playtime. And don't forget, various hidden health problems, including a painful tooth, can cause your dog to refuse food. Remember to consult with your vet to exclude underlying issues. I'm sorry if that wasn't helpful enough, but I really haven't had enough experience with picky eaters to build one working strategy I could offer to others. I'm answering this question to the best of my abilities within the limits of my own humble experience. And I have a feeling this video is getting a bit too long, so let's wrap it up here. Have a lovely weekend and a fantastic week afterwards, and I will see you very soon with a new video. Bye bye!